The archives, even though it's not a huge area, really is the memory bank of Danvers. When we first established the archives back in 1972, I kind of figured that most communities would eventually establish something like that. New Englanders tend to be very possessive and don't like to give up their stuff. So most communities can't get organizations to pool their resources and make their combined collections much more valuable than the individual parts. Daniel Toomey, who knew that he couldn't take care of his records, knew that people needed them, and thought that if they came into the archives, we would be able to maintain them. We would take care of some of the burden of people looking up could come to us instead of the town clerk staff, and the material would be protected. Historical Society also did that. We have all of the private papers of the Danvers Historical Society that's been given to them. They're here on permanent deposit. Also, the First Church, one of the most conservative churches on the North Shore when we began back in the 1970s, was willing to give up some extremely valuable as well as historically interesting material, the witchcraft materials. And it was almost like once the First Church was willing to put it on permanent deposit here, other people in town, other organizations said, well, if they're willing to, I guess it's okay, and we can. The records we have here are probably First Church records and Salem Village transaction records, and they go back to 1670. 20 years later, the witchcraft began, yeah. Well, this is part of our rare book witchcraft collection, and it includes a lot of very early as well as some rare books that relate to witchcraft. This little volume here is probably the rarest. It's actually owned by the Danvers Historical Society, and this is a book that was published in 1702 called A Modest Inquiry into the Nature of Witchcraft, written by Reverend John. This is one place where people continue going on living even when they're dead for hundreds of years. It really comes and touches the present, and to me that's really the fascination of history. And what we're going to be doing for the next period of months, maybe years, is in conjunction with the Danvers Herald, both Catherine O'Hare and Myrna Ferrer have asked that we maybe spotlight every couple weeks one of the little items that we get. They might be very important or they might be very ephemeral, but they'll hopefully give the reader a little feel for the kinds of material we have in our wonderful collections here.